Greetings, my friends. If you're wondering why am I doing inside, well, Mr. Multi-Voice Reviewer think it is appropriate because he wants me to spend a day or two in a hotel room. And I never been to a hotel room before, but I have to say it's very nice for a vampire like me. Oh, and another reason? If some of you have read the Facebook, it is true. Between you and me, Mr. Multi-Voice Reviewer has a girlfriend. And he doesn't want me to be in the way. Well, I say best of luck to him. But enough about Mr. Multi-Voice Reviewer. A lot of people think they can get rid of me. I like to see them try. Because anybody who tries to get rid of me, they forgot one thing. I am invincible! You're a loony. Who said that? Anyway, the next review I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is a vampire video game. You see, a long time ago, when PlayStation 1 came out, there was a video game who goes by the name called Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain. Now, of course, what I have in my hand is Blood Omen tool, but Mr. Multi-Voice Reviewer loved the game so much that he puts the first game and the second game inside the box. But let's get to Blood Omen, shall we? What is it about? It's about a brave knight who goes by the name of Kain. And no, not Kain who killed Abel. There's another man who goes by the name of Kain. In his story, he was a valiant knight who all of a sudden got ambushed by a group of bad people, and they stabbed his heart out. So during his years, his body wandering into the abyss, there was a necromancer, and for those who don't know what a necromancer is a sorcerer who specializes on raising the dead. Sounds like something I would love to try. Anyway, what Kain did not know, that the necromancer, his name was Mortanius. And what he did is he pulled a sword out from his chest and gave him the black heart of the oldest vampire ever lived, called Janos Aldrin. And he brought him back from the dead as a vampire for vengeance. Little does Kain know, vengeance, after he'll go out for revenge, little did he know that they wanted him to become a vampire so he can have his revenge, and then sooner or later have him sacrificed for the pillars. Because they wanted Kain as a vampire. In his position, they want him to become the baddest guardian. And what is the balance, you would say? It's a balance between vampires and human beings that are called Sarafans. You see, it's in the medieval times, and there's an unstoppable war between humans and vampires. But the problem is, most of the humans are studying witchcraft. So as a vampire, not only you'll be battling against human beings and also vampires, you'll be battling against also demons as well. Now, at the end of the game, I don't want to spoil it to you, but it is a choice if you want to have a happy ending or a bad ending. Now, I'll tell you about Blood Omen 2, but I need to tell you about another story. It is sort of connected to Legacy of Kain. And this story is called Soul Reaver. Now, they made two of them, so what Mr. Multi-Voice Reviewer did, he put Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2 together. Now, what is Soul Reaver you gonna ask me about? Well, there was a vampire who goes by the name of Raziel. But the problem is, you see, Kain created his army of vampires, and Raziel is one of them. Except all of his brethren's other vampires are evolving, and Raziel evolved to have rings on his back. Kain hated it, so he removed the skeleton of his rings out of his back, and then purged him into the abyss, a swirling vortex of water that will burn vampires like acid. So Raziel suffered, being burned into the abyss of the burning water, until he noticed that after his death, an elder squid-like god brought him to life and made him become a Soul Reaver. Now, the Soul Reaver, what does he do? Now, he doesn't go after bloods like other vampires. He sucks souls of his enemies. And throughout the entire game, what he's supposed to do is he's supposed to kill his brethren who betrayed him and go after Kain. And then the sequel picked up where it left off. And how it left off, as it turns out, Raziel kept going forward and backward in time and start noticing what's going on in the world. And well, spoilers, he starts seeing himself, and he met the oldest vampire ever lived, Janos Aldrin. And notice that his human self had killed Janos Aldrin and cut his heart out. So now Raziel decided to kill his past self. Now, I know it would cost a rift through time, but hey, it's just a game. And as Kain pulled the Soul Reaver, as you can see on Kain's hand, the Soul Reaver is an ancient sword. It will suck the souls and bloods out of their enemies. It's a vampiric blade. And as Kain pulled it out of Raziel's chest, he told Raziel that the black heart from Janos Aldrin must not go back to Janos. And now we get to Blood Omen Part 2 and see how this story goes. You see, after Kain noticed what happened, he was battling against a Sarafan general, and most of his loyal vampire followers betrayed him. So he was, after his last war, he ended up slumbered until he woken and met a vampire woman who goes by the name of Uma. Now she tries to help him, but as it turns out, she was a traitor. So to make a long story short, in this game he kills his vampire traitors and got back the sword and killed the Sarafan general who'd been studying witchcraft. Now, at the end of Blood Omen and Soul Reaver comes this game. Legacy of Kain Defiance. In this one you can play Kain and Raziel. And it's their story together, with all the pieces put in together to make an interesting tale, an interesting story. This is the legacy of Kain I was telling you about the time when I was playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and I said it was like a Legacy of Kain game. This is the game I was talking about. And of course, at the end of the game, he noticed that Raziel's destiny, he has to merge his body and soul into the sword, the Soul Reaver sword. So Kain can destroy that squid-like elder god. But of course, at the end of the game, you don't know if it's a happy ending or a sad ending. And as the game got so popular, they did made one video game called Legacy of Kain Dark Prophecy, but it got cancelled. And then they made another video game called The Legacy of Novgoth. Novgoth. That's the name of their country. In that game, you choose to be on the Seraphant side or the vampire side. And it was before Soul Reaver. And then they made another game called The Legacy of Kain, I guess Bloodline or Blood Dawn or something like that. But it was nothing like the characters we know. It was too different and not that interesting. So, if some of you have a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1, get these games of Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, and Soul Reaver. Trust me, these games are very good. It's just too bad I, Dracula, cannot be in these games. I would like to help out Kain and Raziel. And of course, surprisingly, I can do my impressions of those vampire characters. Here's my impression of Kain. Slay victors, summoned to the fallen, and yet I live my life in slumber. Down to the world of the swirling vortex. Never even cared if I was either heaven or hell. But a new fate had came. A necromancer named Mortanius gave me a chance to resurrect my grave. But for a price. I wanted revenge. But nothing is free. Neither is revenge. And that was my Kain. And here is Raziel, similar to Kain but sound a little young. Kain's deified. The clan told tales of him. You know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I served with Kain and my brethren at the dawn of the Empire. I have served him a millennium. Over time, we became less human and more divine. Interesting impressions, huh? It's not often that you have a vampire who can do impressions. So reach your heart out, multi-voice reviewer. Now, if some of you are going to wonder what my next review is going to be, I'm going to review about a half-human, half-vampire who kills vampires. And no, I'm not talking about Braid. Braid came from the Marvel Comics. I'm talking about the half-human, half-vampire who appeared on video games. And her name is Rain. Blood Rain. So stay tuned. I'm going to review to you about a woman Dampier. If you don't know what a Dampier is, that's half human, half vampire. Now if you excuse me, I just called the maid over, and I think I can sense her coming. So excuse me. I got to invite her in. Good night.